We are live. Welcome everybody to this first ever edition of PHIT Live. And this might be the new way we do our podcasts going forward. Now, for those of you that don't know, PHIT, PHIT, it stands for Putting the Human Back into Technology. This is our very first live show, and our very first guest is none other than Hot Rod Edwards, SQL Server expert, consultant, owner of the SQL Rod blog, which is nothing to do about fishing. And Rod is going to be making his speaking debut next week on our PHIT webinar series. His inaugural talk is called Real-Time Monitoring of SQL Server for free with Telegraph, InfluxDB, and Grafana. Rod, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, mate.
No problem at all. If you'd like to, just quickly for anyone that's watching, if you'd like to come to Rod's webinar next week, there's a QR code in the top right-hand corner of the screen. There's also a bit.ly code ticking across the bottom, and I'll pop some links into the comments on the various different sources as well. But please do sign up and please do come along. So, Rod, kick us off there, mate. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you specialise in, what you enjoy doing, all that sort of stuff. Tell us about yourself, mate.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, to start with, if I just do a quick share of my bio, hopefully this will show up. So then what you can see there.
Are you're not sharing anything, mate? Hold on. Quick check. You're not sharing.
All right, not to worry. Then I'll just go.
Oh, hang on. No. Hold on. I can add it to the stage.
There we go.
Now we
Fantastic. Yeah, I've been doing SQL Server now for full time 20 years. We'll get onto a little bit more of my background in a second. SQL Rod, as you've already mentioned, that's my website, which just started blogging on this year. Any thoughts and things like that I'll get out of my head goes into there. LinkedIn profile, anybody feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Always open to making new connections and seeing if I can help anyone. I've got my Twitter handle on there as well. I don't use Twitter that much, but it's there in case anybody wants to tweet or X me or whatever they call it these days. And yes, I like cake. There's no other way of saying that. So basically, that's my bio, and that's nice and simple.
So you like cake. Are you on Twitter? Did you say you were on Twitter then?
Yes, yeah.
I should.
SQL
Are you SQL Rod on Twitter?
SQL Rod bloke. Yeah, it's on that. I'm not on there. I'm not active on it, but I'm around. All right. So yeah, being a full-time SQL DBA, 20 years now, at least. Before that, I was the stereotypical accidental DBA where we had a big Oracle presence. The Oracle team didn't actually want to support SQL, and they wouldn't. So being in the server tech at the time, the server team, me and the boss in the server team, we started picking up the SQL support, and it just went from there. So went from there on through all big corporations, things like that, both support for corporations and then consultancy companies. Did that for many years, and I've now been freelance contracting for the last 9 years. And I'm not sure I've ever been busier, to be perfectly honest. Part of that freelance, somehow, I was freelance for Microsoft CSS as well. So SQL Server support at CS, the customer services support at Microsoft for SQL. I started that. My first day there was the go live day for SQL 2019. Yeah, that was a bit of that was a baptism of fire, to say the least. But yeah, great. I mean, right, what do I specialize in? Well, I think you can tell already. SQL Server, it's my main speciality. But then there's so much to SQL Server, so much functionality of it. Now, this is where Microsoft and working for consultancy companies helped, because you can see there's that many things SQL can do, the different functionality of it. Yes, it's a database engine. It shovels pages left, right, and center, but some companies only use a tiny little part of that. Now, when you're a consultant and have to look after many, many companies, you get a very broad spectrum of what you actually what the product can do, which some people say, oh yeah, jack of all trades, master of none. But when you do it for that long, your skill does sort of get better and better, which is never a bad thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
So on that then, and this is a little bit off piste. All that background working for consultancy firms, you get to see, very similar sort of career path to you without the Microsoft time. You get to see SQL Server used in lots of different ways and lots of different things. What would you, for people out there now who are using SQL Server, what's a hidden gem? What would you tell them about that you wish you'd known about before you discovered it, if that makes sense? Any sort of feature in there that would, putting you on the spot, Rod, I know, but
right.
little hidden gems that
Can I
people should
actually
know
go?
about.
Can I go on the ones that I tell people to avoid, pitfalls?
Yeah.
So then things like the index request, missing indexes, and then people what Mr. Ozar says calls Clippy, which I quite often do myself now. The Clippy requests, where he says, right, you need this index. A lot of people will go, right, and put that index in straight off. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's all a generalist. From one of the best things which I think people should go, Query Store. It's great. It's one of those that if you don't have in-depth monitoring, the fact that Microsoft pushed this out by default now in Azure, where they have to pick up the tiny little cost for it, not cost, but performance cost for it, and they pick that up, it's great. It can save so much time, effort, headaches, best thing ever. Where feasible, look into using for Query Store. Then you can avoid, you can avoid Clippy sending you down the wrong path. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Rod, excellent. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, sure.
I'll move on to my next question then. So SQL Rod is your blog. It's not about fishing, but do you fish is my first question.
When I've got time to, I used to, just nothing serious. Nothing serious, just down the canal. There's a fishery a mile away from my house where pulled some massive, maybe about that sort of big sort of fish out. It's relaxing. It's one of those things. It's relaxing, and with a name like Rod, it's a bit of nominative determination there. So can't get away from it.
So I've obviously we've known each other for a little while, and I know I kind of watched you start your blog and get going. What's been your best post, and which one you think is the most useful, the one you're most proud of?
Yeah, right. My best post is the one I'm going to present next week around the TIG monitoring, so Telegraph, InfluxDB, and Grafana for SQL Server. That's my best. That's my best post as far as number of reads. People contacting me, thanking me for it, which was always like, wow. Other ones that have done well, which I'm finding is, my PowerShell blogs using DBA tools and little snippets, gems using DBA tools, which is another thing I'd get people to use really quickly. Learn PowerShell. If you're SQL Server, or if you're anything to be honest, learn PowerShell. Makes your life easier. People have loved those. They've got a lot of attention, which I was like, oh, didn't expect that. It's just how I use something. Then loads of people have gone, oh, that's great. My most proud one isn't my most read one by far. I did, and I know why, which I will go back and address that. I did a 3-part piece on SQL observability. Now, observability being a buzzword key, but it's not monitoring, it's different to monitoring. If you look out there and Google observability, it's always about MySQL or Postgres. Nobody ever relates any of that to SQL Server. Now, I tried to do that with pillars of monitoring. So errors, latency errors, saturation, through taking those signals and translate those into SQL Server environment, which doing previous clients. Too long. The blogs are too long. There's a lot of scripts in there. It's end to end. I will go back and revisit those, tune those a little bit, because I'm most proud of them, because we need to think about doing things like this in a modern era of monitoring and observability. Those. The other thing I'm most proud of from a blog, the first time that I appeared on the Redgate Database Weekly newsletter. I couldn't believe that, because I've read that for years, and then that's mine. How did that get there? What? I've been on there a few times now, which is like, I'm still humbled, utterly humbled.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well done, mate. Awesome.
Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Cool. Right. Okay. So you started your blog and you've written some really cool stuff. There's some really good stuff in there. We talked about some of the ones you're most proud of. I've just popped a link in the comments as well, so people can go and check that out for themselves. And you alluded to it then. Your most read one is in around what your talk you're doing next week. But you are going to start your public speaking and presenting SQL Server topics. You're doing our PHIT webinar series. Tell people a little bit about that and tell them they can sign up using the QR codes as well, mate. The more we get, the better.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's one of those for that particular presentation. It's right. Monitoring. I'm a huge believer in monitoring. We need to know, techies, we need to know what's going on with our system before our handlers, management, or the customers do. So if we don't know what's going on, then somebody comes to us saying your server's down and we don't know about that. Well, hang on, that's not good. Or this isn't working, this is slow, and you don't know that your CPU's on fire. There's smoke pouring out the back of the server. If you've got a simple dashboard, graphs, whatever, showing, oh, hang on, right, what's happened there? Or somebody said there was a problem. There was a problem at 4 in the morning. Well, I wasn't looking at the screen at 4 in the morning. You need to go back in time. You can't do that unless you've got monitoring with a history retention behind it. So then you can go back, look, go, right, oh, that happened at this time. That would explain that. And then you can start digging in and get a root cause analysis of what went on now, last week, whatever, without, and with monitoring, the way I look at it, and a lot of people do, it's not a case of that's bad, that's good, etc. It's a case of what is the baseline for this system? Then all of a sudden, if you're off baseline, then what's gone on here? You can't do that without monitoring. You need monitoring to get your baseline in the first place, and then work out whether you're in a good or bad place after that. Yeah. Going on to the TIG part again, Telegraph massively used now, open source massively used, and it ties in with Influx being the back end and Grafana, your presentation layer for it. It all ties into that. A lot of that, again, you Google out there and have a look. It's great. Even ones where people say, yeah, monitoring SQL Server with Telegraph. You look at it and it's all Linux based. It's like, well, hang on. Most of this won't be everybody, but most people, when they're running SQL Server, they run it on Windows. They've got a Windows background. Everything they do is Windows. They don't touch Linux in the slightest. So to get them on board for this is like, right, how can I make every product works on Windows, but it just needed everything tying together so we could see this is how you set it up. Because I've been in InfluxDB presentations recently for how they're monitoring with Telegraph, and it's not really been hands-on. They've been great information, but for getting started, a techie will want to go, I want to monitor something. How can I set this up? Right, start, and then at the end of it, go, I've got some dashboards, I've got a server, and collecting some counters, and that's what that session's about. It's getting right the way through. I've got some dashboards to show in there, which I'm trying to get put. I'm trying to get those put into the Grafana dashboards page, so anybody can just put a number in, and it will come and bring some dashboards down for you. So great stuff.
Have you ever come across Marcin's SQL Watch?
I have, yes, and it's it's fantastic. It goes into going into SQL and then displaying what's there. Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. Got no nothing bad to say at all. One of the reasons I like one of the reasons I like Telegraph is it's not just SQL, and that's where I'll demo. There are hundreds of plugins which I'll show. It's as simple as you just add a little bit to a config line, to a config table. A config file, and then all the plugins are there already for you, and it just goes, oh, you want that? Great. Windows, Linux, if you want anything, which I'll demo next week. It's so powerful in the observability world. Really powerful. So,
cool. Right, so on that note, then you've got this talk, lots of good examples coming next week, which we're all looking forward to, and we're going to deliver this online, and I'll put it on YouTube and stuff afterwards as well. But are you gonna like are you going to take this further? Are you going to look to talk at conferences? Are you going
I'd
to,
like to. Yeah.
submit to SQL bits and
I'd,
pass?
I'd,
And
oh, well, SQL bits seems a little bit out my league at the minute, but for pass certainly. But some smaller ones, yes, I think I'd like to. It's I have got nothing against how can I put it? Package monitoring systems. Nothing against them. So we'll take SQL Monitor. I can't think of any
Idea,
Quest, Idea. Yeah,
yeah,
all of that lot. They are brilliant, but they
they cost some money,
cost
don't
a
they? They
lot of
do,
money.
yeah, they
I
do.
mean, previous estate where I was at to license all servers, it was hundreds of thousands of quid for every couple of years, and it's like they're great products. I'm not arguing that, but
No.
a lot of
If you,
budgets.
if you haven't got that budget, they're not
Yeah,
going to stretch that far,
no,
and
no,
these tools can really be helpful, can't you?
yeah,
Giving you that head start on
yeah, and
issues,
the
helping you
customization.
proactive.
Yeah, these are
Mm.
fully customizable. All of those monitoring tools out there, yes, they offer some customization, but they're never as customizable as you need them to be. And there's always
Yeah,
something that goes, oh, I can't do that. So
fair
yeah,
enough. Fair enough, mate. Awesome, awesome. So we look forward to seeing you on the circuit then.
thank you.
Data SQL Saturdays. I think SQL Bits is well within your grasp, mate, and I
Oh,
think you should. And obviously, probably a bit late for this one. In fact, you
yeah.
are late for this one, but next year I think you should definitely have a go at that.
All right.
So, mate. But you're making your debut next week on the public speaking front. Maybe you haven't gone in it yet, but are you feeling nervous? How do you feel about it? Does it give you any challenges, any concerns? Because there's people out there that just they don't make the step because of the challenges they think they're going to face. So it's always nice when someone's going through that process to let them share those a little bit as well.
Yeah, you know what? It's a weird one because if to start with, just taking a step before that with the blogging, trying to get me to blog. I mean, you had a big hand in getting me to start blogging. Other people have said it over my career in the past, and I've always thought, well, who'd want to listen to me? And there might be people watching this later going, well, I agree with that statement. But as far as am I nervous now? No. If I'd have been doing this a couple of years ago, yes, big time.
Yeah.
I think it's because some of the feedback I'm getting on some of the blogs, and people saying that's really helpful and really useful. It's like, oh, okay. So let's spread the word a bit. If
Yeah.
people want to listen, then yeah, I've got no nerves on actually doing it.
So the blog has given you confidence in the content you're going to
Yeah,
present that people actually want to see. Oh, that's
yeah,
excellent. That's really good.
totally, totally. I mean, it is a strange
Really
one,
good.
but yeah,
Mm. Well, no, it does. Blogging does give you that confidence. I've had a blog for a long time. It's always nice when you get the feedback you've got, and
yeah,
some of the stuff you write is really, really good. And people will want to will have an interest. Will have an interest in that. So, last couple of questions then before we bring this
okay,
to the
yeah.
close. 20 years as a SQL Server professional, what piece of career advice would you give a young data professional starting their career today?
Right, okay. I think there's two main ones to start with, but right, and they're not tech skills.
Mm.
Be humble, be really, really humble, and humble and helpful. So work on your soft skills. I mean, it comes natural to some people and not to other people. I totally get that. But I've written blog posts on soft skills because it can
I've
open,
read that, yeah.
yeah, it can open doors. Open the soft skills. Just being being known as wherever you work as somebody who's actually helpful and approachable, then it can really help you along your career, especially when you're getting started. To be perfectly
Yeah.
honest, because people want to help you, they don't want to just sort of push you off to one side if you're helpful back. The stigma of IT, I'll put it. Comic book guy from The Simpsons. I think I blogged on that as well. It's a case of how you present yourself in a way. Um, I mean, from a tech level skills, yeah, learn, try and sponge the knowledge. I mean, there are a lot of really, really clever people out there. I've worked with people who are far cleverer than me. Um, especially at Microsoft. But the ones at Microsoft were clever and just so humble with it. I worked with some people where they've been the cleverest people in the world, but trying to get any information out of them, working with them, it was more difficult to work with them. And people don't want to work with difficult people, which is just, yeah, training. Another one, yeah, you're going to need to do training, especially as you start off. Go with industry heavies in the training. They've been there, they've done that. You'll learn a lot of the people of those. Your training can be more generalized as you're starting, and then you'll naturally find your specialisms, what you like doing more. I mean, I love query tuning. I get a massive kick out of making something that takes that long, running this time instead. Massive kick out of that. But yeah, just be humble.
Be helpful and humble.
Yeah.
Some great advice there, Rod. Great advice. Now, I've got one more question for you, and I can't let you go without asking it, mate. You're going to have to tell me about that armor that sat over your shoulder.
Yeah, it is metal. In case anybody thinks
it looks like
tinfoil.
a full armor suit there, mate. That's what
Yeah,
it looks like.
it is. Right. Okay. I got married in that. It was quick story around it is agreed to get married. Won't go into that story because it doesn't put me in great light. But then I never used to like wearing suits. I like wearing a suit now, a normal suit, but back in the day, used to hate suits. And the wife just said, "I don't care. I don't care. You can wear a suit of armor for all I care, as long as you turn up." So it was like, "Oh, can I?" Right, and then it snowballed. It snowballed from there. So after doing that, we've got married in a castle in Cornwall. Many, I don't know how many years ago. I can say that because she's not in the house at the minute.
She's recorded and live on the internet, though, mate. So she might see it at some point.
She'll never find it. So we got married in a castle in Cornwall, and there was only mates there because it's the other end of the country to where we are. Everybody went as medieval fancy dress, and it just turned into carnage. Good carnage.
Yeah.
The press got involved. Ended up in the Sunday People magazine. There's a picture of my ugly mug wearing that, and it's really, really heavy. I'm strong and fit. I managed 2 hours in that before my legs were falling off.
Does it still fit?
Oh yeah. I'm probably a bit big now because I've lost a little bit of weight since then. But yeah, it fits. It fully articulated. You can move in it. Yeah, it's not a real one. It is a reenactment one. It's not a real because I'm not that rich. But yeah, that's the story.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rod. That's awesome. Guys, it's coming up for 25. We're nearly going 25 minutes here. I think that's all we've got time for this first live show. Rod, thank you very much for being my guest today. I'm really looking forward to your webinar next week. If everybody else wants to come along, there's links in the comments. There's the QR code on the screen there, which is probably that way if I'm pointing, which you can't see, up there somewhere. Sign up and come along. We'll have a great time next week. Thanks, Rod, for coming on. It's been awesome.
Okay, thanks, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.